So I saw the Dungeons& and Dragons movie about a week ago, and I wanted to come on here and post my thoughts about it and do a nice little spoiler-free review. Just want to say I'm sorry real quick for my background. It's kind of chaotic right now. My wife and I are in the middle of moving, and I'm now in my new office, and it's still, as you can tell, a little dysfunctional. So that explains why we haven't been really super active recently, because life's been a little chaotic recently. But anyways, let's cut right into the D&D movie. I'm just going to say this immediately. It was really, really good. I'm not going to lie, walking into the theaters, I wasn't really sure how the movie was going to be. Obviously, Dungeons & Dragons is something that is very passionate to me, and I really wanted this movie to be good, and I guess I had just an innate fear of it just being disappointing. But I'm very, very happy to say that it wasn't. So again, this is just going to be like a rapid-fire spoiler-free review because I don't like having movies spoiled for me, and you probably don't either. Starting off from the beginning, you immediately know this is a Dungeons & Dragons movie. And it's not because there's some super tropey things going on. There's no like really weird, cringy references like, oh, that's a nat 20 or that's a critical success. Nothing like that. Just the stuff that the players do from the very rip is like, yeah, my party would do that. You can definitely tell the people that made this movie definitely knew what they were doing because there's so many instances like that in this movie where it's just like, that's kind of ridiculous and stupid. But god damn it, yes, that is definitely something my party would do. That is also something my party would do. Oh, this was definitely the DM throwing in like a filler session during this point. I took my buddy Devin with me to the movie, and the entire time we just kept looking at each other like, yeah, that would happen. Most of the jokes hit really well. I was laughing and smiling the entire time because genuinely it was just a fun time and such a fun movie to watch. So much to the point where I think I might go watch it again, honestly, and it's very rare that I go to the theaters twice to watch a movie. One of the biggest things I'll say that I was kind of like skeptical about going in was the use of the red dragon because it just looked ridiculous in the trailers. Like, what is this big fat red dragon doing? Like, why is this here? But after watching like that entire session play out with the big fat red dragon, it was fucking glorious. Thembershad or Thembershad, however his name is said, stole the show in my opinion because the scenes and like just the action sequences with him were fucking hysterical and also something I would totally do as a DM. I'm not going to say what happened. I'm not going to say how everything happened. Just know that it's golden. It's freaking great how they handled the red dragon. And there's also like little details in the movie that you know they kind of like took from the game Dungeons and Dragons, such as different spells that they mention. They mention, you know, different arc wizards and like, you know, lore references that you would know from the Forgotten Realms. They showed different mechanics from the game in the movie and how those would like kind of play out on screen versus like in the game. And I don't mean like rolling to hit or multi-attack. I mean things like attuning to magic items. Or one of my favorites personally that I really noticed was, you know, showing how a dragon has to roll a 5 or a 6 on a d6 to get their breath weapon back. Those little details for the movie really just kind of added to the charm of everything that I was watching unfold on screen, on top of it being a genuinely just really fun and interesting story to watch. I feel like the entire cast did an amazing job playing the roles that they were casted to act as. But I do have some small complaints about some certain things here and there, I guess. One of those would be that Chris Pine, who played the bard, did a fantastic job playing a bard, but he also felt more like a rogue at times, and you'll see what I mean when you watch the movie. Not to say that he did a bad job whatsoever, he did a fantastic job playing his character, just if you're trying to correlate it from paper, from the game to the movie, you know, it kind of looks more like a bard rogue multi-class, which I guess maybe isn't that big of a deal. It's actually pretty cool. One thing I wish they would have done is given Sophia Lillis as the druid a little more speaking time. It feels like she didn't really get a lot of screen time compared to the other characters. I understand that, you know, Michelle Rodriguez and Chris Pine were like the main two of the movie and the party, but it feels like Sophia Lillis probably got like the least lines out of everybody, at least from what I can remember. That being said, though, she did a fantastic job playing a tiefling druid. She did great. When she was on the screen doing her thing, she did some really cool fucking stuff. So maybe the cool things that she did made up for the lack of the amount of lines that she could have had through the movie. One thing I really, really appreciated about the movie was that most, or if not all, of like the races and species in the movie were all practical effects, from the Dragonborn to the Aarakocra, like, and the Tabaxi. They were all practical effects rather than just like CGI races. Except for like one thing that I have a small complaint about, and I guess it would be kind of a spoiler. It has nothing to do with the plot at all or anything. Just one like nitpick that I have about something visual. But if you don't want to hear it, go ahead and skip to the end of the video because this is like the last point that I'm really gonna make. All right, last warning. 3, 2, 1. I was not a fan of how the halflings looked. The halflings just looked a little out of place to me. The halflings in the movie just seemed like they just didn't like, I don't know, fit in as well as the rest of the races. You could just tell that they were definitely just human CGI'd smaller. Like, it's not a straight CGI creature or race that you see. It's a straight up like person that was playing the halfling that they literally just like shrunk down and threw into the scenes. Now, the acting of the halflings that were in the movie was really, really good. Some of the actors that play the halflings did a fantastic job at playing halfling. It's just that in some of the scenes, it was just like, that looks a little weird. I don't know. It was a little nitpicky. I kind of wish they would have done, what they did with like the Hobbit or Lord of the Ring movies with the Hobbits and like the visual effects and the practical effects to make them look smaller, like halfling size, versus just like film person make small throw in scene. But with that being said, I will say with a particular scene with a particular halfling that I'm not going to mention or spoil, it was such a good scene. It was really emotional, and I really liked it a lot. It was just something with the visuals where I was just like, I don't know. So that's really it. That's kind of the gist of like my mini review here. I didn't want to go super in depth with like a lot of spoilery things because I don't like having stuff spoiled for me, so I didn't want to spoil really too much for anybody that's watching. I really, really enjoyed the movie. It was really honestly such a fun movie to watch. Obviously D&D again means a lot to me, and to see it played out on the live screen was fantastic. It wasn't super campy or tropey. There weren't like really any cringe references to like, I don't know, that's a natural 20 or like that's a critical hit or anything like that. All the references to D&D were like lore-based things and like seeing mechanics played out, like spells and different races and classes, and it was really, really cool to see. So if I had to give it like some sort of rating, I would say I'd probably say like an 8 out of 10. It wasn't a perfect movie, but it was definitely one of the most fun movies I've seen in a long time. So yeah, that's going to be it. If you've already seen the movie, or you plan on going to see it, or you are watching it after this review, then let me know what you think of the movie down in the comments. Thanks everybody so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Cantrip Cast.